Good evening, friends, wherever you are, whatever part of the world you live in. Welcome to the Aijaz Qureshi Show. This is your host and friend, Aijaz Qureshi, all the way from Toronto, Canada. Today, we're going to talk about a very interesting topic that is very near and dear to my heart, which is personal growth and professional development and giving back through the business. So, lots of people give back in different ways. Some people give back money, some people give expertise, some people give back in different ways. But giving back through the business is really something interesting to talk about. And for that reason, we have invited our best friend. He's from Dallas, Texas, US, Joe Salazar III. He is co-founder and CEO of SaqibSalazar, and he is an American immigration attorney that deals with all different kinds of immigration matters, cross-border, etc. He's a businessman himself, entrepreneur. He's a founder of a Salazar method, which is very well accepted in the industry, in the market, and that Salazar method itself is a path to self-awareness so that you get to know yourself and then act upon accordingly whatever you learn about yourself and use it to improve your business upon. And that method teaches you to bridge the gap between the motivation, and you have the motivation, you have all the fire in you, but you have no idea how to execute that and make it happen. So that Salazar method talks about it, and you will definitely hear more about that. And let me tell you a little bit about Joe. Joe is, I had a great discussion with him. I don't know how long, it must be an hour-long discussion last night with him, but he is such a thorough gentleman. His ecosystem of the companies, are specific to real estate investment and development and management. And he is also developing the SaqibSalazar brand itself, and it's an emerging name. It's a new name in the Pakistan tourism and fashion industries that you will hear more and more from now on, or you have been hearing. You may know a little bit about it. Saqib and Hina, they're both working together hand in hand with Joe, and these three people. This trio is amazing trio. And so we'll be discussing about giving back to business, as I mentioned earlier, and you will learn about SaqibSalazar's recent development, what's going on in SaqibSalazar and things like that. And Hina and Joe, they are both together. Hina with a background of accounting and computing. She and Joe, they're working together to building SaqibSalazar to be Pakistan and American brand name that will soon be launched into Pakistan. So let's welcome our esteemed guest, Joe Salazar. Joe Salazar, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. It's an honor to be here. I appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you so much for being with us. All right, so I did a little talking about what we are going to do in the show, but again, I'm not sure if everybody in our audience know about who Joe Salazar is. So why don't we spend a few minutes on letting people know that who Joe Salazar is? Where did you start? What challenges you had in life, and how did you get here where you are right now?
I always say I'll try to be brief, but I will. I'll be concise about it. I think the big thing to say is that, it's never too late to start over. I did things backwards in life. I got married very early on, 2021, and there's nothing wrong with getting married that young. I just wasn't ready for it. And given that life, I didn't go back to school till 32. And here I am as a 39-year-old man who hates school. Yet I went through 7 years straight. I double majored philosophy, psychology, went through law school, and I opened up my own immigration law firm. And I say that to start off, not because necessarily I'm flaunting my more recent accomplishments, but I want everyone to know it's never too late. It's never, ever too late to start over and to live the kind of life you want. So I'm from Laredo, Texas. I was born and raised in Laredo. I've lived all over Texas. But the thing about it that I put out there to give you kind of a quick overview of where I was and where I am, I was born with a couple of gifts, my ability to think differently and my ability to communicate those ideas very clearly to people. And I found out it put me in unique positions of standing in front of large groups of people and being the one to lead the team, sharing my ideas, bringing everyone together. The problem was in an academic setting, highly dyslexic, highly dysgraphic, and my mind just doesn't work in the classroom. So I spent almost my first 18 years thinking that something was wrong with me, always wondering why did I struggle, and in turn hating the world because of that. I hated systems, I hated corporate America, I hated school, I hated a lot of things. And so I told you last night, and I told a bunch of people, I let time pass me by because I was unwilling to commit to life. I didn't go to school. I didn't want to get a job in corporate America. I was just good at saying no to everything and everyone throughout my 20s. But yet through all that time, the same ideas I had about me as a child who was 6 years old, through high school, through my 20s, the same ideas, the same vision I had for my life never changed. I don't know who put it in there. I don't know where it came from. Whether it was God or my interaction with the universe or my own subconscious, the belief I had in myself to accomplish certain things never changed. So it wasn't until I was 32 that I had a bad relationship end. I was engaged at the time, lost my house, pretty much lost my job, lost everything. I had nothing. As a grown man, I had nothing to show for myself.
Wow.
And that was very traumatizing because it was humiliating.
Must be.
So I ended up moving back to San Antonio as a grown man, moving back in with my family. And I started not even at zero, but from less than zero. And I had to truly humble myself and recognize that at the end of the day, the only people that were there for me were my parents and my brothers and my sister. And that was a hard awakening because we had a lot of conflict in my family. But once I was able to accept that, make amends, say I'm sorry, and tell people I wouldn't even have a place to sleep if it wasn't for you. At that point, I started down the long road, like many people do, of earning their time in school, in the workforce. Finally, at 39, I graduated from law school, and I've spent the last couple of years starting to build my life now into something meaningful. I've spent about a year and a half putting together an ecosystem of businesses, bringing together teams of highly educated people I respect. More importantly, they aren't just educated, they aren't just capable, they have the same values that I have. And so for the last year and a half, I've started to put together teams, launching businesses in a specific order because I have a vision. I have an ecosystem with me at the head, leading qualified people whom I love. I've built companies around those people because of their expertise. And now this brings us here to you today.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. That's great. That's great. Well, I'm sure that you have gone through so much in your life. You know, each of those experiences, to me, I think we learn a lesson from that only takes us upward and onward. So we apply that, we learn that lesson, and we apply it in our lives. And the best thing is that we can teach others to learn from that experience and move on. So that's great. Thank you so much for sharing
Of
that
course.
life story, Joe. So let's dig into the Salazar method that you have developed, and let's talk about how that can be used to advance our personal development and professional development. How can we use that?
Yeah, just brief 20-second introduction. The idea of the Salazar method, um, I'm not intending to be a guru. I'm not intending to tell people, because in philosophy, one might agree is everyone. And this manifests in religion and politics, all the things that we don't talk about. When you get into ways people do things, there's a decision to be made. In philosophy, it's called a normative decision, the oughts. Everyone's arguing about what we should do. But what I like about a very few people I came across was that they made a description. They simply told you what was actually happening. There was no you should, this is what is. So after going back to school at 32 and through my life all the way through 36, 37, and now, what happened was I tried to find how can I make my way in the world? What am I good at? What comes natural? So I started this idea in 2016 when I was in Copenhagen studying abroad of creating a public speaking program because I found out that I wasn't going to be happy working for anyone else. So I needed to figure out a way how to utilize my greatest gifts and translate them into something that I would be happy doing every day. Well, as I started developing this public speaking program, what I realized is the way I do public speaking, the way people would always ask me, Joe, what are you doing? There's something you're doing, Joe. And we can't figure out what it is. Whether it was the classroom, the boardroom, or the courtroom. People would ask me, what are you doing? We see you're doing something, but we can't figure it out. As I started going deeper within myself to articulate, to share with people how they can do what I do, I just discovered I was doing something in particular. I was really creating a path of self-awareness. And that's what this is. I am just describing to people my own path to self-awareness to get to where I am here today. And there's a lot of entrepreneurs. Gary Vaynerchuk is one of them that I heard say recently last year. He goes, my success is about self-awareness. The problem is I don't know how to give it to you. And so there's a lot of people like Les Brown who have changed the lives of many people because they motivate them. They remind people of their reasons for taking action. And then you've got people like Tony Robbins, right? Warren Buffett, Grant Cardone. I mean, real tycoons, captains of industry. If you want to be in their shoes, you follow their path. But here's the thing. Most people who are motivated don't even know how to get started, where to go, or what even they have to offer the world. That's the problem. So the Salazar method, it helps people recognize and identify their greatest biological God-given talents. And it helps them understand that if they want to be fulfilled, successful, and happy, this is a practical, tangible, and replicable process that helps people recognize the greatest they have to offer and then strategically build on that as they develop a life in the real world. This isn't about happy-go-lucky, hippie, feel-good stuff. This is about taking young men and women or adults and having them build a life that they can be proud of.
That's awesome. That's great. So let's go back, take a step back about our self-motivation or whatever way we get motivated to do something, to accomplish something. You know,
Yes.
everybody has that passion. Some people have the opportunity to convert that into a business because nobody wants to work for somebody else and make them rich. You know, I think the best way is to become an entrepreneur and make the living for yourself and keep whatever you earn. So, what processes or what steps should one take to convert that motivation into a reality?
Yes. Number one, in the universe of the Salazar method, I use a few key words: belief, conviction, identity, vision, purpose, personal pitch, and passion. Those words are basically the titles of the different chapters in the book. And there are many people, very fantastic people, that have helped change my life, that use words like vision and passion and purpose interchangeably. And this is part of the problem. They have specific meanings, both in the dictionary and how we use them in everyday language. So when I use any words like passion or purpose or vision, because you brought up passion, to share with you, those words have a concrete meaning and they must maintain that meaning over time. So how do we translate passion into profit? There are a lot of people who have spent careers changing the lives of millions of people by putting out their own formulas for that. And I'll touch on the word, one or two of those people, and then my take on it. I say in the book that I've written that I'm waiting to put out till a little bit later, but I say it on my podcast. The idea of passion is the great lie of our generation. And I don't mean that if people have said passion that they're wrong. I think to identify it and put it in context of the Salazar method, it has a very important place, but really it's meant to encompass 6 or 7 different ideas. So when people talk about passion, it is the context in which we choose to perform. It's the industry that we want to spend our time. I can tell you right now, as far as passion, I am passionate about many different roles, many different industries, many different jobs. The problem is if I connect my sense of fulfillment, satisfaction, and worth to the industry or the context, I'm going to get lost over time because I have no guiding force. So passion is extremely important, but how we choose and where we choose to participate and to place ourselves out there in the world is the last decision we make. The first decision has to do with accepting and building on how we're actually built. Again, I told people a lot, the dolphin swims, the bird flies, the little deer jumps around. Yes, dolphins can probably jump around, maybe. I've seen birds actually swim. I don't think a bunny can fly. My point is, if we identify our natural, biological, God-given, universe-driven traits, and we accept what am I born naturally good at, and we make a commitment to build off the biological traits that we connect with the most, that will put us in a place where we will truly experience fulfillment, the dolphin swimming, the bird flying, the bunny jumping. And then, once we have identified the opportunity we have to make the most impact in the world while still aligning ourselves with what will bring us true satisfaction, if we go out and then build skills on top of those traits, if we get an education on top of those traits, and then and only then, knowing how we're built and how we have developed ourselves over time through education, training, and skills, then we can choose our passion. So for me, the biggest piece of the puzzle is identifying how we're built. And I'll give you a little 15-second example. One of the first people I was working with was a high school student. Great voice, highly athletic, and good with math. 3 natural talents. And he asked me, what do I do? And I said, well, I don't know. Let's figure this out. What are you good at? And he started saying a couple of things. I said, no, don't tell me what you like. What are you good at? And then he said, I can sing great, I'm very athletic, and I'm great with math. And I asked him, which one of those 3 could you not live without engaging every day? And even though this person could probably have put out an actual album, even though this person could have probably got a scholarship for football, he goes, math, math. Everyone says I should go to college and be an athlete, but math, I love math. I love numbers. My job has me building roads and bridges and other big projects. I go, you've identified one of your greatest talents. If you do not engage that on a daily basis, regardless of your passion, regardless of your skill, you will never be fulfilled and feel complete. So once he made a commitment to accept that reality, that God gave him, the universe gave him a skill, a talent, an ability with math, then he decided to strategically choose careers and passions built on that. That is the road to success, because once you can identify your skills, your abilities, and you build on them by engaging a passion, then you'll find out that you actually have something meaningful to offer to sell to them as far as developing a business.
Awesome. Awesome. That's great. Excuse me. Let's take some comments. Comments have been popping up since we started the show. So thank you so much, viewers, for commenting. If you have any questions for Joe, please comment, and Joe will try to answer those. Please feel free to comment. Salahuddin is our regular viewer saying, good morning, sir. Good morning. Thank you so much for hopping on the show. Let me get rid of these titles so that we can show the messages here nicely. Salahuddin is again saying good morning, Aijaz Qureshi and Mr. Joe Salazar. Good morning. And then SaqibSalazar is saying, it's a pleasure to have a guest sharing his experiences of personal growth and professional development through business. Absolutely. Thank you so much. Zafran Chechi from Islamabad is saying, unique knowledge, amazing talk. Thank you so much. Waheed Ahmed is sending 2 flowers, one for you, Joe, one for me. Thank you so much. Salahuddin is saying, I would love to learn from Salazar method. Absolutely. It's something to really learn about. And it's really very helpful method. Salahuddin is saying exactly, Aijaz Qureshi, nice question on viewers' behalf. Absolutely. Everybody, thinks the same way as I do. So thank you so much for writing that. Salahuddin is saying, wow, beautiful explanation, Mr. Joe. exactly passion, purpose, etc. Thank you so much. Thank you. Zafranchechi is saying thoughtful talk by Joe Salazar. Thank you for your comment. And Salaudin is saying awesome. Thank you. And Salaudin is appreciating, he's saying, Mr. Joe Salazar, I admire the way you speak. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. So let's talk a little bit about the Salazar method that is going to be now, you know, it is published already. Now you're writing a book, and it's going to be in the market soon. And let's talk about how Saqib Salazar, as a company, is bringing something new in Pakistan market.
Yes. So give me 30 seconds, and I want people to see the story here. I live and breathe by following the Salazar method, and not because it's something I'm trying to sell. It's just I'm sharing with people as I look back and reflect on my own path. And it's very important if I just made the claim to everyone that if they identify how they're naturally built and they commit to honing those natural abilities by developing skills on top of them, learning knowledge, and then taking what they have as an asset and deploying it into business. Let's look at me and how that relates to Saqib Salazar and what I'm doing now. I'm a man that's living and breathing by my own advice. I am dyslexic, I am dysgraphic, but I still have 3 degrees that have a tremendous amount of reading. I struggled, I cried as a grown man. It was not easy, but I had the commitment because I had a vision. But I recognize that speaking and organizing is how I'm going to make a living in this world. That had nothing to do with my passion. But by recognizing how I'm naturally built, when I did identify my passion, the areas of business and career that I wanted to have fun in, I at least knew what I would be armed with as an ability and skill set when I got there. And that is the big takeaway. So, how have I decided to deploy everything I just said, that self-awareness, into business? Number one, I came across a lot of group of people in 2016, 2017, Hina Saqib being one of them, Stephen Pauly and a couple of other business partners whose names I can't mention just yet. And I had a vision in 2017. And in 2018, it crystallized. Out of all these 5 business partners that I had, I said, you know what? I have an idea that was revealed to me in my meditations, in my prayers, in my daily affirmations. I'm going to put together an ecosystem of different companies, and they are going to work together as a team of businesses to provide me a foundation to accomplish this big idea. One of the people I came across was Hina Saqib. And whether I'm talking to Saqib Salazar, Airgid Capital, Kalen Operations or Management, or even my law firm, I am still using my same natural talents and abilities and self-awareness that I learned about myself in the first process. I am deploying those. I'm very much interested in real estate. I'm very much interested in developments, very much interested in real estate developments for tourism, hospitality, hotels, resorts, and there's always been fashion. So when I started connecting with Hina Saqib, who's my business partner now, she's the Saqib in Saqib Salazar. We found out that between us, we had a pretty good thing going. And what we decided early on is that we wanted Saqib Salazar to be a brand name that encompasses our business activities by connecting 2 markets, Pakistan and the United States. And her and I being the bridge between these 2 worlds and having a lot of connections, which she brought to the table, we started off by Saqib Salazar doing a lot of branding. It was the actual business under which I started doing some of the Salazar method activities for other companies. I had done it under the Salazar method brand name before, but where we're at today, to put this in a very brief wrap up, because of Hina, we have really strong connections right now with a new and emerging natural tourism board from Imran Khan and maybe players like Rana Aftab. And we have deeper connections even within tourism to real estate. And we are doing one thing and one thing only. We are wanting to take advantage of the emerging business opportunities in Pakistan for tourism, as well as fashion and trade, because those are the passions that Hina and I are extremely interested in. We are looking right now, using the other companies I have in real estate development and investment, again, the ecosystem, to identify places with this emerging tourism trend in Pakistan to start to think of developing hotels, resorts in Pakistan under the SaqibSalazar name. And we also want to use that SaqibSalazar name to organize and unite the fashion industry so that we can sell and promote Pakistani style trends in America or other places in the world, again, under SaqibSalazar. If I really had to put a finger on it and tell you how that relates to giving back, I have already made the promise publicly and to my business partners. Whatever it is we do in Pakistan under SaqibSalazar or development under Kalan operations, I promise to hire, train, and educate the Pakistani workforce, because I want these people to be skilled in the areas I know. Whether it is hospitality, customer service, management, or bringing in my other partners to train them in operations and real estate development. It is my goal not only to develop those areas of the Pakistan economy, taking something, enriching my own life. I want to make sure that I don't just come in and plunder. I want to begin nurturing the Pakistani economy by training a modern workforce. That is my commitment. That is my goal. To use business to give back, not only to provide everyday job skills, but to embed the Salazar method in that so that these individuals become their own entrepreneurs and can think for themselves.
Awesome. Awesome. That's great. There is another long comment. I can bring it on the screen. It's from Salahuddin. And you can see that comment if you're logged in using laptop, then you can see it on the left-hand side if you expand the comment section. Salahuddin is saying, can you please help upon my arrival for a thesis with a public university in USA? My topic is entrepreneurship. The impact social and business entrepreneurship on economic development of a country. A comparative study of entrepreneurship model of North America and Pakistan. So that's
I think the issue, there's two things I see right there. One of them is the dramatic shift that my parents and my grandparents have seen in America post-World War II. And this is very interesting because if you look at the shift in America and you compare that with what Rehan Alwala is trying to do right now in Pakistan, they're two different worlds. So number one, in America, it used to be that everyone, our grandparents, post-World War II, they were looking for long-term jobs. That one job, they would be a company man. It'd be a very strong source of pride to walk out into the community and say, I've been with this company. Usually in the industrial space, when America used to make a lot of things. And this is why our economy has taken a hit over the past few years, because we've become a service-oriented economy. Not getting into politics, but you can see the current administration trying to bring jobs back, but not just service jobs, industrial jobs. And this is why China's economy skyrocketed. We don't need to be a Democrat or Republican to have this conversation. If you look at from the 1950s, 60s, 70s, 80s, our parents, our grandparents were with jobs for 30, 40, 50 years. They retired with a strong pension, a gold watch, and they could look back over their career and say, my life was devoted to building something massive. That has changed with the arrival of the modern economy, both with its fragmentation, its compartmentalization, and its outsourcing of certain aspects of everyday jobs. So what has happened? Even in my time, and now the millennials, they don't have jobs where it's 40, 50, 30 years. They go 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. And with the advent of the internet and the ability to build online businesses, something even to the extreme end has happened. People all over the country, all over the world, can actually entertain the idea of working from themselves from home through the computer. There is no, I'm working for a massive company. That's still there. Apple, Google, right? You look at some of these major tech companies, They're blowing up. Look at the companies that are struggling still. It's a lot of those companies that are involved in manufacturing, right? Whether it's cars or something else. So if we look to his thesis, there's a comparative analysis from post-World War II to where we are now in the nature of employment and where the opportunities are. They are all about entrepreneurship. That seems to be the only thing that you can go after now to give yourself some certainty. And look at what Rehan Alwal is trying to do right now in Pakistan. Currently, there is no GM. There is no IBM. There is no central large company or group of companies that is getting into manufacturing that is going to be the rallying force behind the Pakistani economy. Hopefully, with what's happening under CPEC, the combination of Vision 2025 and OBOR from the World Bank in Pakistan, hopefully these massive infrastructure projects are going to give a lot of jobs to people. But even then, what seems to be the only answer? It's what you and Rehan Alwala are talking about. Rather than trying to do these large, massive infrastructure projects or create these big manufacturing companies to provide the central rallying point for the Pakistan economy, you all are saying one thing: become an entrepreneur. Be the master of your own ship. This is the only way forward. So putting this in perspective, he can say comparatively, the world is shifting from an all for one to one for all, where everyone is building their own company. We've seen the shift in America, and that is exactly the starting point for the modern Imran Khan, Rehan Adwala, and you and everyone else, Pakistani entrepreneur. That would be my assessment of it. The world is fracturing out in many millions and billions of pieces. It doesn't mean it's collapsing. It just means the modern trend of business and entrepreneurship starts with the individual and his computer.
True, absolutely. And that's what we are trying to do. I mentioned to you yesterday that we are trying to create 500,000 social entrepreneurs in Pakistan, youth especially, so that they can, take their fair share from the international freelancer market. So that's what we are trying to do. Thank you so much, viewers, and for your comments. That was a very good question, Salahuddin. Thank you so much for asking that. And Niaz Nazir is also a great viewer, and he's saying hello to you and me, and appreciating the and organization of such a great session. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. So let's talk a little bit about the opportunity to organize and train the modern day workforce.
Yes.
How the Salazar method can help the millennials to understand the business models and modern way of working, because the way of working have changed
Yes.
dramatically. So how they can adjust themselves to be a productive business people or businessmen, and as well as a good contributor to the humanity, to the community.
I think this is interesting because, playing off the last question, where there aren't these large national companies as such anymore providing, certainty and comfort by providing people long lifetime jobs. If everything truly is going more to the individual and the entrepreneur, more than ever, people need the Salazar method or someone. Because what is the question then? If people, the millennials especially, are responsible for creating their own businesses, they cannot rely on someone else's pitch deck. They cannot rely on someone else's vision. They need to identify more than ever now what they're good at, strategically build skills on top of their natural abilities, refine their identity, have a purpose, organize a vision, and then selectively and strategically choose the industries in which they want to deploy all of those assets. More than ever, the millennial, as I see it, is wanting to have a sense of identity, purpose, and meaningfulness. And they can do this, but it is a shift because, again, my parents and my grandparents weren't so much concerned with how I stand out in the world. They just wanted to say, coming off of, again, of their grandparents in World War II, who came off of their grandparents in the Depression, how can I be a meaningful contributor in society? And that meant having a good job with a big company that was changing the face of the country. Now, the Salazar method it becomes very individualized for all these new entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs, not just by choice, but by necessity, as the traditional marketplace for jobs is evolving. Again, what does the Salazar method do? It is a path of self-awareness. So if people are forced to say, I need to do my own thing, or if they simply want to because they don't like wanting to participate in the modern structure, number one, the 7 or 8 steps, biology. You have to be honest about what you're good at, but you have to accept what you're not good at. I
Absolutely.
honest, I honestly believe if you want to take this as just the luck of the draw or God's involved in the picture, I believe God made me and built me to be highly skilled in the 1 or 2 things I do: leadership, thinking, and speaking. And He made me horrible in everything else, such that I would only focus on these 2. I'm 5'6", I'm very athletic, but I'm not tall enough to be a professional athlete. It's hard to read, I'm dyslexic, dysgraphic. I think that my only path forward in life for greatness and happiness and fulfillment is using these 2 or 3 things I identified. Once you have your biology, the Salazar method takes you towards beliefs. You have to honestly assess the beliefs that form your worldview, but you really need to be self-aware and ask the hard questions. How did those ideas get there? Because if we go through the process, people are going to be having moments of clarity when they're holding on to ideas that are there because someone else told them. Then
Absolutely.
after that, we look at the convictions. A conviction is a firmly held belief. It's one that is consistently present in your mind, even if it's surprising to you to realize it after the fact, when you're making these large life decisions. These are always the ideas that rise to your mind and stand there as the reference point for should I or shouldn't I do this. A lot of people are operating with firm beliefs and convictions that have no business being in their mind and to provide points of conflict and pain. Once we stabilize that thought process and we ground people in convictions that they really consciously want to hold on to, we talk about their identity. Because the identity in the Salazar method is a really big point for millennials and young people especially, because, and this is some of my philosophical training and some of my own thoughts, your identity does not exist. Your identity of who you are only exists as a snapshot in time as you look back over your past and actually assess your behavior. Your identity is truly the thoughts, words, and actions in that moment. That is who you are, because that is the only place your consciousness truly exists. But if people want to get it stuck in who am I, look back over the last 6 hours, 6 weeks, 6 months, and 6 years. You may not like what you find. You cannot change it, but you can make up for it by being present in this moment. Because identity for most people, if they can align their convictions for who they want to be with how they behave on a daily basis, this is the biggest takeaway I can give today. Once you behave like the person you believe yourself to be, your identity, as we've said it, becomes stable. And finally, for the first time in your life, vision is your reward. Once you can stabilize the who you are in your day-to-day activities, vision, the what you want out of this world, can finally be trusted. Because as I define vision in the Salazar method, vision is 3 things. You all can start making a list right now. It's the Christmas list for your adult life. What do you want to experience? What do you want to achieve? And what do you want to possess? And in my Vision podcast and on the YouTube channel, this is where I had my biggest aha moment. I had a lot of big dreams and ideas for my life, the things I wanted to possess, the money I wanted to have, the house I wanted to buy, the type of family I wanted to grow, and the experiences I wanted to, have in my life. There were big ideas here, but every time I went to write them down on paper, I would write the 60 or 70% mark of that big idea. And I'm like, hold on, I have this here, but why am I minimizing it on paper? I didn't believe I deserved it. There was doubt. But the point is, once we work through the last few pieces of the puzzle, purpose, personal pitch, and we get to passion, I promise you, and I promise those people that are listening to me, you will get to a point of at least certainty about what is your greatest value you can package up and offer to the world in your passion, such that you will have the greatest opportunity to achieve success and make money. And notice what I say, you will have the greatest opportunity. And this is the last piece. You still have to be good at your job. And so this is where I don't want to just go to Pakistan and train a workforce by working the youth and adults through the Salazar method. I want to give them the opportunity to learn real, valuable skills through the hospitality and customer service segment of tourism under the SaqibSalazar brand name. But I also want, for those that are a little bit different, to train them in operations and construction under Kalen Operations, led by my business partner, Stephen Pauly. So I want to get them to a place of certainty and confidence in themselves, but I also want to make sure that I provide them with hard skills. Now, I don't know what this looks like in real terms. I'm meeting with people to take advantage of these opportunities. Some people will be paid as we can, as we develop these things, but I will offer internships, externships, and apprenticeships to the ability that I can, so that everyone can learn from my success in developing the Pakistani economy.
Awesome. That's a great way to give back by business. So thank you so much for a live example of that. We have some comments that I must take. We are out of time now, but let me acknowledge these comments coming in. Just give me 1 second. Let
Of
me
course.
read comments. Salahuddin is saying, I wish I should join and we work together. I would love to be part of your team. So definitely you guys can connect through inbox. Thank you so much, Salahuddin.
Perfect.
And Niaz Nazir is saying, agree with Joe's ideas and comments on integration of CPAC and rising jobs. But question is how to make it long-term impact so that after completion of project tenure like CPAC between China and Pakistan, how can we make it long-lasting? That's the question. That's the bottom line.
This is very interesting. China has 6 corridors throughout Europe, Asia, and Africa, and they are strategically building a long-lasting, what they hope is a long-lasting relationship with Pakistan under CPEC as a combination of Pakistan's own Vision 2025 and the World Bank's OBOR, One Road, One Belt policy. They want to develop infrastructure to get to Gwadar. They want to ship stuff from China by a land route to Gwadar Seaport to have access to Africa in a different part of the world. Now, that infrastructure development is going to happen, and it's going to continue to 2030. As far as the other piece of the puzzle, maintaining and developing this integrated economy that's prosperous, a lot of that is out of my hands. A lot of that isn't just developing the infrastructure, which CPEC is contributing to, so is Pakistan. It's ensuring that there are good business practices in place and good business ideas. Again, you have to be good at your job. However, to the Pakistani people, I would venture to say, whether it's Imran Khan's current openness to developing the Pakistani economy and his willingness to stabilize the political regime, I guess you could say, as some people would call it. I think it's just a democracy, by releasing the Indian pilot the day after he was captured. It is going to be up to the Pakistani community to ensure their political system does not take a turn for a worse. Because I'm going to tell you one last comment. As far as bringing outside money, investment, and people like myself to Pakistan to invest and grow the country's economy, there's one question on everybody's mind. Can we trust the government to take care of our investment? Can we trust the political system to not take advantage of us? Because my business partners even have the same question. Joe, what's going on in Pakistan? Is it terrorism? Is it not terrorism? There's a lot of misconceptions, and that's okay. That's the way the world is. I'd venture to say a lot of people in Pakistan and other parts of the world have tremendous misconceptions about the United States. It's the world we live in. I'll do my part, but the Pakistani people need to do theirs.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You're right. There are a couple of more comments, and then we're going to call off the show. But thank you so much, viewers. I'm going to read through those. Salahuddin is saying, I usually deliver lectures in universities and their ORICs. business incubation centers. I'm sure that we can convey and educate more youth on Salazar entrepreneurship model and method. Absolutely, you can. Thank you. Niaz Nazir is saying, please let us know the top 3 international business opportunities and how can we get your expert opinion when it's required to standardize as per the international protocols. So that's the question.
I think for me, one of the things I like that a lot of entrepreneurs have said, especially like Gary Vaynerchuk, he goes, I stay in my lane. I only talk about those things that I know well. So for me, I can only say I can only comment on what I'm focused on. I have businesses that are emerging very fast. Again, this is part of this big plan to do real estate investment in America, as well as development and management, at least in Pakistan. That is my focus right now. I can tell you this, at least the way I see it and the way it's been expressed to me in the conversations I've had with other experts in the industry, my worldview right now is really on the United States, but on Pakistan. That's where I'm putting my effort. I see that for people that want to get involved in an industry that is not only local to Pakistan, but global, if there's a way to find access to be part of the emerging infrastructure in Pakistan, the electric grids, sewer, water, sanitation, roads, bridges, we at least know that unless something dramatic happens through CPEC and the Asian Infrastructure Bank, they've already committed to over $60 billion worth of infrastructure projects in Pakistan. Build businesses around the flow of that money to not only enhance Pakistan, but get a piece of the pie. And they're doing that till 2030. That's where I want to be. Number 2, get involved in tourism. Imran Khan and his team with Rana Aftab, who I'm making connections with through Hina Saqib, they have just repurposed the PTDC, I believe, to be the National Tourism Board. They are pushing tourism in Pakistan like it is going to be their #1 commodity. Get involved in tourism, but I want to come in at the top end through SaqibSalazar, help organize the infrastructure to play off the work that's already done by the NTSB and players there. Get involved in tourism, but I want to come in at the top so I can help guide the ecosystem. Number 3, trade, fashion. I like fashion, but trade. If things are becoming much more stabilized, not only because of China's involvement with the Gwadar port, but because right now, as Imran Khan and the current administration opens up its doors to trade, I believe Pakistan has a tremendous amount of natural resources and cultural resources as far as not only what it grows and what can be mined, but again, look at fashion. I use fashion a lot because I really like the Indian, the Pakistani fashion sense. And I think there are opportunities there to share that with the rest of the world. So if you want to get involved in international business while building off some of the natural resources that Pakistan has, tourism, development, hopefully under SaqibSalazar, right? That's my plan and vision, because I'll say this really quick. There's a lot of people that have said, Joe, we need to be careful with Western investment and involvement in Pakistan. True. You don't want to have happen to Pakistan what's happened in Africa. You have outside money going and buy everything up, leaving nothing for the local people. That's why I want to use a brand name, SaqibSalazar, that is half the West and it's half Pakistan.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But tourism, infrastructure, and trade, if you find opportunities to develop those 3 areas in Pakistan, you will have an international access point, I believe, again, so long as the Pakistani government and people do their part.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. One of our viewers, Mushtaq Rathar, joined late, and he's asking a question saying, please tell me one good entrepreneur idea which is good in Kashmir, India. And let me take a crack at it,
Of
Joe.
course, please.
I would suggest to Mushtaq Rathar that use SaqibSalazar and Salazar method to develop a tourism business, because Kashmir is a beautiful, beautiful place, and there are tons of opportunities for tourism in that area, no matter if it is Indian occupied Kashmir or Azad Kashmir. tourism could be number one business in your area. So that's my take on it, Joe.
I agree. Right now, the idea of Saqib Salazar, I started saying an idea to my business partners last year, and they didn't know about all the pieces, but I recruited them slowly over time, and I've revealed to them my big vision. Last year, I started saying ecosystem, ecosystem, an ecosystem of the law firm, an ecosystem of Saqib Salazar, and then Ergid and Kalen. And this has been emerging over the past year, but it's emerging very strong, very strategic. And at this point right now, as I talk about Saqib Salazar, I am putting Saqib Salazar out there because I want people to get familiar and comfortable with the idea. I want people to buy into Saqib Salazar slowly as they hear me, one of the owners, half of the team, talk about its mission, its vision, and its purpose. And once enough people talk about tourism as an idea for making money, I want them to begin to associate Saqib Salazar with a real access point and a real vision for organizing and building that out. Now, as we move forward, and I will be in Pakistan, I think twice within the next 2 or 3 months, starting to put these ideas out there, I would love, again, to use Saqib Salazar as the brand name for introducing people within and outside of the country to the best that Pakistan has to offer, whether it is in the North Mountains, right, the Hunza Valley, whether the beaches of Karachi, or whether we're in Kashmir. I love the idea that when people think of Pakistan, they think its natural beauty and tourism is a way to enrich the economy. And I hope they think of Saqib Salazar as the business partner to help do that. But my point is saying, I agree with you completely. And hopefully it's not just the idea of tourism, but it's the idea of Saqib Salazar working with the local communities to enhance that. But I agree. I'm more excited about tourism development in Pakistan than anything else right now.
Awesome. Thank you. There is another comment from Salahuddin. He's saying Pakistan is in dire need of social entrepreneurs who can provide service for profit or not for profit. We can engage and create medium and large groups for it. Absolutely, we are. And Niaz is saying, it's a long comment, I'm going to hide it. Joe, please reflect your expert opinion. What's most important, the necessity of society or community, or the expertise the person have, or both? Then how to integrate or align both to reach the ignition towards a business engine? So that's a long question.
I'm gonna start by referring to you because under no circumstances do I want to step over what you're doing. I would love to say that the true success is going to come on an individual level, and it's also going to come in a sense of community united by a common vision. Everyone can contribute to this vision of growing the economy and being individually successful. They can contribute in a million different ways. We all don't need to do the same thing. But I think, to your point, this is a great way to tie everything together. The Salazar method, in many ways, I think is just as important as what you're doing with your youth involvement. Because you need, and this is why I'm saying Saqib Salazar, because all of these efforts individually in these small clusters and groups of tourism, for example, are important. But you need a unifying idea. You need a sense of idea and a brand to be able to tie this together. So at the same time, if I can, I would like to turn it to you to talk about and remind everyone what you're doing with your, I believe, PDP, because I think that is the unifying idea for all of the youth to come together under one idea. And with that strong foundation, building a true community, you can bring to the table, given that platform and community, ideas like Saqib Salazar or the Salazar method. But you need this unifying piece, this fabric holding us together. So I think and I'll go on as long as you like, but I would like to, at least, assuming this is the last comment, I would like to give it to you because I think you already have the answer for starting the process.
Absolutely, I do. Thank you so much, Joe, for appreciating the work we are doing under the umbrella of Pakistan Development Program. Most of the viewers who are here probably know that we have launched the Pakistan Development Program on August 22nd, 2018, and we are bound to train 500,000 Pakistani youth on website development for free. That's the beauty of it. That this course normally would cost you 50,000 rupees Pakistani, and cost you multiple months. This is just a 2 day long course, no coding required, nothing, no single line of code you write, and we train you for free. And you will be able to develop e commerce, fully functional e commerce websites within 2 days. And that's the beauty of it. And people have done it, people are making money out of it. They have many customers now. They have been developing for some time, and they're making good amount of money out of these customers that they are getting, and creating beautiful e-commerce
Hmm.
websites. So this is what we are doing. But I think Saqib Salazar and Salazar Math, by applying Salazar method, Pakistan Development Program can get into, I think, the next phase or next stage, so that we can, increase our reach. 500,000 is a big target. Half a million people is a big target, and we intend to complete that in 2 years. That's our goal. Hopefully, we'll be able to achieve that with the speed that the word is getting out, and people are getting together under one umbrella of PDP. And that's not only one program that we are offering. Under PDP, we have several other trainings that we are planning to offer. For example, I'll give you an example that cybersecurity, SEO, search engine optimization, website security, personal development, blockchain for business, and these kind of things, fiber optics. That's hands-on training that we are providing. Hands-on training on fiber optics. That's very rare. People are providing or dealing with this kind of training. So this is our goal. This is our motto. We have to bring these 500,000 families on their feet, so that they can establish themselves, and they can earn, become so by becoming social entrepreneur, and they can take their fair share. So definitely, I would contact you and Hina as well,
Yes.
to really explore further that how we can join hands together. And Hina has shown interest in the past. We had a long discussion, and she likes the idea of PDP and things like that. So we'll definitely, maybe we can have a meeting together, and explore how we can continue working further.
I wanted to provide one comment. For me at least, and I hope I'm not reading too much into it, I love what you're saying about fair share in a different way than it's used in the United States. In the United States, there is and I'm not trying to get political. I'm not. I'm just providing some commentary on what I interpret to be a beautiful meaning. In the United States, there's a lot of successful people, and we're having this internal struggle right now of socialism rising versus capitalism. And when everyone says their fair share, they use it in terms of getting something free, of forcing those who are successful to contribute more and more through taxes. What I love about what you're using for fair share is that, in my interpretation, it's a complete opposite. You're recognizing that there is this ocean of opportunity and wealth floating just above the heads of Pakistan, from China to the rest of the world, even with India to the rest of the world. And a lot of it, at least with the PDP, is grounded in tech. Everyone knows you can go to America and pay a premium price, or you can outsource all of your technical needs to India for pennies on the dollar. But at the same time, the cost of living in India is a lot cheaper anyway. So in some ways, it's proportional. What I love about the fair share and the way you've worded it, is that by training these massive amounts of Pakistani youth, they simply aren't asking for a handout. They're saying, I now have the ability to reach out and earn my fair share. And I think
Absolutely.
that is so much more confidence inspiring than what we're seeing at other places where it's like, well, I just want to take what someone else has earned. And you're instilling in these children the ability to say, no, I don't need something for free. I can build my own life. And I think that's the real inspiring takeaway as you use fair share. And I am really appreciative of the fact that you're teaching these people how to not only be responsible for their own life, but to enjoy doing it.
Absolutely. And they are all really, really enjoying. And I've been getting testimonials and shout outs and comments. It's like crazy.
Mm,
I mean, they love it so much. So thank you so much for that. Salahuddin is saying, heads off to your
yes.
work, Aijaz Qureshi.
Yes, 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 absolutely.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. You're great people, so thank you so much for that. All right, viewers, I think we should call it a day. It was a wonderful, wonderful discussion, Joe. Thank you so much.
Thank
And
you.
I would, at this time, I would request you to give your final words for the show, and what do you want to communicate to the community?
The most important thing is that I got to where I am today over struggles of 20 years, and more specifically, struggles of the past 9 years when I decided to start over, even though I was scared to do so. And I started down the path of success in 2016 when I decided to start the Salazar method. And all that really means is I decided to accept what I'm good at, what's most meaningful to me, and commit to building a life around that. And that isn't something anyone could tell me. It's something I had to acknowledge from within. But the last thing I want to say, I am building this ecosystem of businesses. I'm doing it the right way. I'm doing it with people I care about, and my mission and vision are very clear. And within a few months, from November to now, the amount of growth is tremendous. And in a few months from now, it's going to continue to be that. And I want everyone to say, as they turn off from this interview, that they know what my goals are. They know what my mission is. And there is a clear path between launching these businesses in a very big way and helping grow the economy of Pakistan and train the people. My mission, my vision, my goals for these businesses has a clear path to and through Pakistan. And it is a partnership between me and what I'm doing and the people there, both on the ground and in government, that is emerging. And so I want people to know when they think of Joe Salazar, yes, I'm American doing American business, but I want them to think of SaqibSalazar as this flagship company for developing tourism, infrastructure, and getting into fashion and trade. I want people to have faith in that name. I want people to believe the words coming out of my mouth and that I mean what I say. This isn't just, kind of an infomercial to get some traction. Believe me when I say that I don't know how quick it's going to happen, but I am working my way to do the things that I'm promising to do.
I'm sure that it's going to happen very quickly than you could even think of. So, because it's such a wonderful initiative, and I wish you all the best. There are some comments, two more comments I'm going to take, and one is here. Niaz Nazir is saying that agree on your initiative, but Sir Aijaz, your 100 more developers are waiting behind me. So we'll be waiting for that. Thank you. See
Perfect.
you. Thank you so much. That's awesome. That's amazing, man. It's really wonderful. However, Niaz Bhai, I'm going to say that please do register at this website. So all your 100 developers, if they register as a student on this website that I'm showing the link here, you can just have them register, and we will take them on board, and we will definitely train them. So I'm even doing trainings from here, sitting here in Toronto.
That's great.
And nights, and I because I'm committed, I have to deliver. I have to go and train those 500,000 people. So I'm committed. Thank you so much. And Salahuddin is saying thank you so much, Mr. Joe Salazar, Dr. Aijaz Qureshi. I'm truly humbled for responding to my questions. Beautiful, memorable, and informative show. Clap for both of you. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. And Niaz is saying it's already awesome.
Great. Great.
Sit tight. And as soon as we find a training spot, we will definitely be sending out the email messages to you guys, and then we'll be on with the training. So thank you so much. And he's saying further that I actually want to support your vision and mission for Pakistan. Thank you so much for your support, and I really appreciate it. So that's it, folks. has been great discussion with Joe. It took a little longer than anticipated, but thank you so much. Has been wonderful. Thank you so much for hopping on the show and joining the show all the way right from beginning. Zafran Chachibai, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thanks for your comment. I really appreciate it. And on behalf of Dreams Television, the Aijaz Qureshi Show, myself, all the viewers who have watched this show and commented live here today, or will be watching later on according to their time zones, thank you so much, Joe Salazar.
Thank you.
For your time and efforts, and keep up the good work that you're doing.
Thank you very much.
All right, viewers, I'll take your leave now. This is Aijaz Qureshi from Toronto, Canada, and Joe Salazar all the way from Dallas, Texas, US, saying goodbye to you. Take care of yourself and people around you. Take care.
Bye. Take care.